Welcome back. You're watching Business Plus. If you are somebody looking to buy a home this year, perhaps you'll have to be wary of the rising real estate prices. As of December quarter of calendar year 2023, real estate prices have gone up by almost 19%. When it comes to Noida specifically, it's gone up by almost 30%. So all major metro cities from Mumbai to Noida to Delhi have seen a rise in real estate prices. But what's also surprising is that people who were hoping to buy, the search queries have in fact reduced because people are now wary of the real estate prices which are going up. So perhaps not looking to buy, Kartik, in the next couple of months. These are crucial months. Prices are exponentially rising.
I don't know, Shweta, whether people will, search queries could, of course, reveal the larger trend line here. But the point is that what is the real hard data suggesting? The hard data suggests that flats priced under 50 lakh rupees are actually not selling in as much number. They don't have the kind of demand that flats which are priced higher than 1.5 crore rupees are selling. So overall, it seems that more and more people living in metro cities, in any case, I think in urban townships, in metro cities like Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, Bengaluru, etc., it's almost impossible to find a flat price below 50 lakh rupees.
Absolutely.
So what I make of this data and this trend emerging is that there is demand for real estate, there is demand for purchasing property in the more affluent parts of the country, which happen to be the job centers, which happen to be the metropolitan cities. And the top 10 metros is where I feel the larger demand for housing is coming from. And in those, finding flats priced under 50 lakh rupees is obviously next to impossible, right? And you're really going to go ahead and make a lot of compromises on size, on location, on connectivity, on infrastructure, and the entire ecosystem of housing if you were to look for a cheaper flat. And property prices have increased. Now, property prices have increased. That has been a trend which started rising during the pandemic again, where we saw that people wanted to build their own assets, did not want to live on rent, wanted to, in fact, and that really happened when a lot of folks who were living on rent, actually given the work from home options, had put their rental accommodation, had given up on their rental accommodation and had migrated back to their, to their hometowns and continue to work from home from there. And when they came back, once the economy started opening up again, and when they came back to their places of work, instead of looking at rental options, they wanted to look at options to purchase. And that led to this rise in demand, and then that rising demand with not too much supply to manage that rising demand met the equilibrium at a much higher price point. So what that resulted in, of course, was this gradual increase in prices, and December quarter seeing a 20% rise over the same period last year, pretty much suggesting that there is more demand, there are more affluent Indians wanting to buy houses, and there isn't enough supply which can match that demand. But what also happens is, usually the trend line usually, Shweta, is that there is an inverse relationship, let's say, between stock markets and gold. There is also a similar inverse relationship between stock markets and property prices. When stock markets are overheated, it's a scenario where more and more people are investing in the equity markets and want to participate in this bull run. And that is when other investments like real estate take a backseat. What we are seeing specifically in 2023, and I don't know if this trend is going to continue, is that despite markets being overheated, there is an equal, maybe a lower degree of correlation, but there is an equal surge that we are seeing in real estate as well. So for once, we are not seeing that inverse relationship between equity markets and real estate prices play out. Rather, there seems to be a more linear correlation. And while you see equity rise, you're also seeing real estate rise. Could this be linked to, the election season that we are getting into? I don't know, because there seems to be a bull run right now, estimating that the same continuity of government is going to resume when elections are over in the month of May. And is there some sort of a hedge that some investors, not real, folks who want to buy houses to live in, but are investors looking at some sort of a hedge in the real estate sector, could also be one, one sort of deeper investigation that can run. But the trend is fairly simple. I think there is far more demand than supply, and hence the prices are going up.
Also, since you mentioned that, it's very interesting because the Prop India MagicBricks report pointing that there was an increase in searches by only 2% year on year, while the supply reduced by 16.9%.
Right.
So those numbers, of course, not matching up. Searches going up only by 2%, and existing supply is going going down by as much as 17%.
So the delta of about 16-17% is what is actually resulting in the rise of prices. So it might not be more number of people looking to buy a house over the last year. That number could pretty much be flat, because once you buy a house, you're out of that pool.
Absolutely.
You're not searching anymore.
Right.
So it is almost the same number of people who wanted to buy a house in December 2022. The same number of people, absolute number, not the same people, the same number of people almost wanting to buy a house in December 2023. But the availability of houses is down about 16%, which obviously then becomes a seller's market, and they can take prices up to whatever level they feel justified.
And you know, the most price anybody has to pay throughout the country to buy a house is in fact Gurugram. That number also stood out at 32%.
Look at the DLF houses priced at 7 crore rupees, sold out in 3 days, 4 days flat. So there are people who have the money to spend on houses, and that is obviously tilting the balance in favor of the sellers, not as much in favor of the buyers.
Absolutely. If you're living in Gurugram, of course, property prices soaring there over the year by 32%. In fact, real estate prices overall in the entire country going up by almost 20% over the year.